Welcome to the True Grime Stories podcast, where in every episode, we'll unravel a new mystery of cleaning business transformation from a grimy mess to a great success. Join me, your host, Jeannie Henderson, as together we dig up cleaning business secrets that you've been dying to know. Hello there, my cleaning business friends. I'm Jeannie Henderson, and I'm here to welcome you to our next episode of True Grime Stories. And today I have my friend Amy Smith, who is also in Michigan and a cleaning business owner. Amy owns Dazzle Cleaning Service in Dewitt, Michigan. It's kind of in the Lansing area, which is our capital here in Michigan. And I've known Amy for a few years, and you're going to love her story. It's a great one, so I can't wait to dive into it with Amy today. Amy started back in 1990, so she's been in the cleaning business for a long time. She's a veteran, and I think we have a lot to learn from her. She was running her business out of the trunk of her minivan, and I think many of us can relate to that. But today she's grown her business to 15 full-time team members and nearly 250 clients. So a big change from back in her solo cleaning days. And when she decided to turn her business, or turn her cleaning job basically into a business, she really dove in and can share with you about how she learned how to grow from being a solo cleaner to a CEO. And so we'll jump in here with Amy. Welcome, Amy. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I have been eagerly awaiting this day because I always love the conversations that we have. And those of you who know Amy know that Amy is a great encourager in this industry. I was just talking with someone the other day who said Amy is her hero. So, you know, you've really inspired a lot of people, and today hopefully you'll inspire many more. I know you will.
I hope so. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, so let's begin in your grime scene. So, you know, it might be a little different, but similar to a lot of other people's stories in that you started out as a solo cleaner. How did you get started as a solo cleaner?
I did. I was in the restaurant industry when I got married, and my husband was also in the restaurant industry, but decided to leave that and go be a corrections officer. And both of us kind of couldn't do that same shift. So one of us had to figure out what we were going to do so we could be there nights, weekends, holidays for the kids, summer. So I had a friend suggest, why don't you clean houses just in the interim while you figure things out? And I figured I'd do it for a couple of months, right? No plans to keep with it. But I decided I loved it, and it was truly the job that really could work around kids and set my own schedule. So I stuck with it.
Wow. I mean, and I think that's how so many people do it, because it is like a little business. You can run yourself and you can work around your family. And I think for our employees, it's very similar, you know.
It is. Yeah, for sure. And that's why I turn down jobs that we have to do nights and weekends, because that is something that I'm really proud of, that I can offer jobs to you know, women and men who do want to have that family time. So it works really well.
Yeah, that was for me too, one of the big attractions of the cleaning industry after I came out of the restaurant industry like you did, and working, you know, basically 24/7, it felt like, you know, and so being able to set my hours and only work, you know, weekdays was really great. Yeah. All right. Well, so you were solo cleaning for a long time. And, you know, how many clients were you managing as a solo cleaner?
Well, to be honest, it ebbed and flowed through probably the first 2 decades. Quite honestly, I would bring in subcontractors to help out when I had, you know, an abundance of work. In 2014, when my husband retired from his job, I was kind of ready to give up and be done with it. But he said, absolutely not. I will be your main cleaner, your main trainer. You go do what you want, and you can do the estimates, because I did walkthroughs back then. And, you know, the billing and that sort of thing. And I've got the day-to-day stuff. So we did that for 6 years. And I went off and worked at my church for a while. I went off and worked at Ronald McDonald House for a while, and just kind of did the back end of the cleaning. And it wasn't until 2020 that I said, enough. My husband was getting older and I could see he was limping a little bit more. And so I just thought, gosh, there's got to be a way we can make a go of it. So at that time in 2020, I think we closed 2019 at 22 clients and $22,000 for the year in 2019. So come a long way in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, think about that. So before we came on the call today, Amy and I were talking about, that growth trajectory that Amy's experienced since 2020. We're recording this in early 2025, and Amy shared with me that she is going to break the $1 million mark this year, which is so cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's been a lot of hard work, but I mean, most people never reach that, and you've done it so quickly, and built a great team. So I'm sure people are dying to know, like, how do you do that? How do you go from being a solo cleaner to like being an employer? I think that's a big stretch for a lot of people, from doing it with your hands to then teaching it and directing other people to do the work.
Yeah.
But then also the scaling part of it is such a big piece. So what was like one of the biggest challenges for you when you had to go from that solo doing it yourself and then, your hubby doing it with you to, now building a team?
Probably the biggest hurdle for me was giving up the cleaning. I love cleaning. And I also didn't think anybody could do it as well as me. I think that's also a common theme with a lot of us.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's very true. It's very true. When you're doing it for yourself, I mean, I didn't get complaints because, right, my name was on it. So I did the absolute best work always. And that for me was like gut wrenching, like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to step off this cliff and trust other people? But it was Debbie Sardone. I remember on a phone call with her, and she actually called me at the Ronald McDonald House, is where I was at the time. And she said, you need to put your notice in today and give this up and put all your efforts into the cleaning business. And you will have, because all I wanted to do was replace that $22,000. That's all I wanted to do, that revenue. And if I could do that, and I was skeptical at that, but if I could do that, it would be a success. And so I put my notice in that day. And well, it wasn't like a big money thing for me. I just really loved to serve, and I had a heart for the house and that sort of thing. But so the income wasn't a big deal to let go of, but the house and the families were. That was a very sad goodbye. But I knew if I was going to give it my all, I had to listen to the people I was investing financially and my time in teaching me. And that's what she said. So that's what I did.
Wow. Debbie Sardone spoke and you did the thing, right? And sometimes it takes that, we think about it all a lot, like, oh, what if I just, went all in or whatever, but it just takes somebody pushing you a little bit. That's the great thing about coaching, is that they can get you to do things that you're just not quite sure you're ready for,
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
And believe in yourself. So that is a big challenge, though, that you mentioned for a lot of us, is when we're cleaning ourselves, we're doing a great job. Our clients love us. We almost become part of their family. Yes. We get really close to when you've got that 15 to 20 clients, and then to let those people be clean, their homes be cleaned by someone else. And then to just imagine replicating that over and over again. That's a big mental shift.
Definitely.
So what were what are some of the tools and strategies that you were able to use to take the Amy magic, the Amy Dazzle, right, of Dazzle Cleaning, and transfer that to other people who can then go on and do a great job for clients? Because I think for a lot of people, that is a big gap. of
It's
going,
huge. It's a big
right?
leap, especially for somebody. I have had no business experience. I had managerial experience in restaurants, but not a lot of that transfers over. Certainly hiring
Mhm.
and that sort of thing, of course, but managing a whole bunch of clients with a whole bunch of different cleaners, that was all new. But I would say truly not reinventing the wheel. Let's face it, I started this later in life. And so the real heroes in my mind are the women and men that do this, as with young children still in the home. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
But my
Yeah.
kids were grown and gone, so it was just a perfect opportunity. And I would say I literally just said to myself, you don't have a lot of time to figure this out. So find somebody, find a program, find a coach, somebody who can just, propel me forward. And I've always been a learner. I believe in reading and going to conferences. I've just always been just a ferocious learner.
Mhm.
And so knowing the success that really anybody that does what CBF teaches, they're successful if you do what they say. So I dove in, I invested the money, invested my time, and just really did what it said. I think one of the maybe things that I might have helped me in the beginning is that the method in which CBF teaches you to clean, that is something that I was already doing and had been since the very beginning. So that was a little bit of a help. And why
Right.
a lot of people, they got to switch to solos and they have to switch to what we call speed cleaning. I didn't have to do that. I was already doing that. So
Yeah. A lot of us are like cleaning in teams. When we come into trying to turn it into a business, we might have a partner and we're,
yeah.
that kind of thing. So that's a big shift for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people trying to switch to solo, but you were already there. So that helps.
Mm-hmm.
Being in the using speed cleaning, being in the solo cleaning model.
Yeah.
Um, and so what was one of those things that you learned that helped you to trust that the people were going to be able to deliver a great cleaning experience for your clients?
Yeah, I think it was time, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
You don't have a choice. You got to jump in the deep end and just do it. And the more I did it, I wasn't getting complaints, occasionally, but you found out that there's a lot of people out there that can do a great job, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I think that was something else
Yes.
that I've learned, that there will be mistakes made, and it's not the end
Mhm.
of the world. So I was taught, through the program, different things on, um, how do you handle mistakes? How do you handle complaints or gifts, as we call them?
Mhm.
And that honestly, really, it wasn't that hard. It really wasn't that hard. It was a little blow to my self-esteem. It's another funny thing Debbie told me in the beginning. I used to close at like 95%, 98%. But it was back when I did walkthroughs and I was the cleaner. And Debbie said,
Mhm.
"You're not that good, Amy. You're not that good. Don't fool yourself." It was so funny. She was just being, silly,
Mhm.
but she's right. She's absolutely right. It wasn't me. It was just the fact that, it was my name. So I worked harder, and the few complaints we get now, they're manageable. I know how to handle them. So
Yeah, that is so true. There's so much gold in what you just said right there. And so much of it are things that people struggle with when they're trying to go from being a cleaner themselves to being a CEO. So I would love to come back. We're going to take a little break here right now and hear more about CBF that Amy just mentioned. And then we'll come back and we'll dive into some of those solutions that Amy's discovered. So here's a message from our sponsor, CBF. Is your cleaning business a grime story? There's no need to stay stuck in the muck because you're not alone. With over 500 active members and more than 500 graduates of our Cleaning Business Fundamentals program, CBF is the #1 cleaning business academy in the world and has created more mop-free millionaires than any program in the industry. Learn more and let CBF take your residential cleaning business from a grime story to a gleaming success. Welcome back, everyone, to True Grime Stories with our guest, Amy Smith with Dazzle Cleaning Service in Dewitt, Michigan. Thanks for sticking around with us, Amy. We're so
Absolutely.
glad to hear your story. So Amy was telling us that she went from being a solo cleaner, as many of us do in this industry, to then going on to build a business, working with her coach, Debbie Sardone. And, but, you have a coach, you still have to do it yourself, right? You still have to, I always say, coaching is, not the easy button, but it is kind of gives you the treasure map, like shows you where to dig. And so some of the places that you mentioned that you were digging when you were working on your grime story were that you realized that you aren't, that just you doing the cleaning isn't the thing that is necessary for your business to grow, right?
No.
And that other people can love cleaning as much as you do and be really good at it. How did you handle it, that when you first started to get, some feedback? Because I think that's one of the biggest fears is, oh no, we're going to get complaints. I've never had a complaint in my life, and how am I going to deal with that? And it goes into, I think people struggle with conflict, right? And difficult conversations. So how did you handle that?
I think I'm a big communicator anyway, so I hit things head on. We've got scorecards. If one comes in, less than perfect, I'm giving them a call and trying to figure out where we went, astray. But I think first and foremost, owning it. Now, this might not be anything that I learned in CBF, but you just own your mistakes and you fix them wherever you can. And when you do that, 9 times out of 10, it works out just fine. Most people just want to be heard, and rarely do we have to actually go back and fix things. That's like really, really rare, which is great because I always offer it.
Right.
But most folks just wanted to let you know for next time, that sort of thing. And I believe it's because we own it. We don't try to make excuses and pass the buck. And so I think for me, that probably was the biggest thing for receiving that. I owned it and took accountability right from the start. I also am a believer in that, most people will text you their complaints, but I pick the phone up and I call them right away. So a big one too. They don't necessarily want to complain, so they're going to text you, but they have no problem receiving my phone call, and it tends to work out pretty well.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Such good advice, because in this day and age, I think when you're trying to avoid conflict, a lot of people hide behind their phone and they will text, and they're like, well, they texted me, so I'm just going to text them back. And tone cannot be communicated in a text.
It can't, and tone can be misunderstood through text for sure. So I definitely don't want that. They need to hear my voice and hear that I empathize and I'm sorry and all of that. So that's a big thing for us around here.
Yeah. And that's such great advice. People that are, listening to this, that, are just getting started, to learn to expect that there will be some feedback, but it's really, Amy mentioned that you're using scorecards, meaning, you're asking for feedback every time you clean. And this may not sound right to people, but more feedback is better. Like if there's silence, that's not good news.
No, it's not. It absolutely, you are so right. And we found that out probably a month and a half ago. We cleaned for these folks for 2 years, never heard a word. They didn't fill out their scorecards. That should have been something we called to find out, but they just called and let go of our service. And of course, I called them right away.
Right. Yeah.
And I found out it was quality, but they are not complainers and didn't want to be honest. And so I was able to fix it, but it goes back to that communication.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a really good point too. Like if people are being silent, that's a great opportunity just to reach out and say, just calling to thank you for being part of our, service, and checking in how, everything's going, if anything's changed,
And, while that's an easy thing to let slide, and that's what happened to us when we get busy, the whale is the one that gets the oil, and it's too bad. But I learned through that experience, and that, like I said, that was just a month ago, that's not always true. And we need to make that an absolute priority to touch base, no matter how often we talk to these folks.
Yeah. And it's such a great way to differentiate ourselves when we do take that opportunity. That's, such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So you went from having you to, like, in your first year, how many cleaning technicians did you add to your team?
Oh, in the first year, probably none. It probably wasn't for the first, I probably was by myself for the first 5, I would say.
But like when you started, in 2020, when you went to like growing your business,
I started with my husband on May, I think, of 2020, and by September, I hired my first person. I got through the program. I didn't really do anything with the program. I studied it. I'm one of those people that you got to know everything before you jump off into the deep end. And that was what Debbie was saying. She's like, you can't know it all. You're just going to have to rip the Band-Aid off and do it. So in September, we hired our very first employee.
Okay.
And no longer did subcontractors, that sort of thing. And I don't know, gosh. I never count. I always count revenue. I don't count technicians. But the first year, not only did I totally pay off CBF, but I think we tripled my goal of the 22. And we were at like 149 the first year, 258, I think. The next year, almost 500 the next year, and this last year we closed out at almost 900.
Oh my goodness. That trajectory is absolutely amazing. That's
like a little crazy around here.
Yeah. Talk about, going for a ride. That is like, whew, taking off.
Yeah.
And just look at that. Like, you're in the hundreds, then the 200s, then the 500s, now the 900s. That is amazing. And that doesn't happen when you're just trying to figure it out by yourself.
No. Heck no. I would have given up by now without these secrets and these, just the cheerleading alone is enough to just, propel anyone forward as long as you're open to learning and not thinking you know it all. I think that's the secret sauce in really anything, improving anything. Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's this misconception that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, that you have to figure it out yourself. Like you have to create your own unique, really, proprietary system of your own to be successful.
No.
And and it truly is not the case, especially, in the home services industry. We all do somewhat similar work. Now you can differentiate.
Yeah, and you should, I think. Absolutely.
Yes. You can set yourself apart in lots of different ways, and, kind of add some little special, things, little flair to your brand. But, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There is great advice out there to help you get through. And I love that you mentioned the cheerleaders. That's the community. You don't have to go it alone. And how great was it to find a bunch of other people?
Oh, absolutely.
Who knew what you were going through.
True. I could get pretty gushy over the whole community part of it because I have made some of the best friends that will just, they'll be lifelong, whether I sell my business one day or not. They're just lifelong friends, and they really have your back. I mean, even today I've been missed because I'm usually everywhere, and I got 3 text messages from people in my community like, you okay? I've been missing you. How are things going? It's just, I don't know. It's just amazing to me because I'm in other groups, and something about the CBF folks, we just really care about each other, and that is a testament to Debbie and what she was able to build and instill in all of us. And she doesn't really want the other kind of person in there, and that's helpful too. So yeah, it's an amazing community, and I would say, not that the systems aren't amazing, they certainly are, but I would say the community is really, really what helped me just along the way.
Well, and you had mentioned that you would have given up by now if you didn't have that support system. And I can attest to that. I probably would have thrown in the towel long ago, at that certain point. One of the things that we often talk about is that at every level, there are different challenges. So, when you're building a team, what was one of those points where you hit a challenge?
If I'm honest, I would even say it might be a challenge that still I haven't quite figured out. Not that the answers aren't there, not that the support's not there, but I truly believe I probably could have been at 1.5 or higher by now had I not been as, what's the word, picky about who I hire and who I bring onto my team. The culture is just important to me, and sure. I would say I would rather stay small than grow big and lose the ability to have a team that's really cohesive and on the same page. So, but that's still something. It's a work in progress. I don't know that I'll ever arrive, but honestly, I just took your course, Culture Magic, and that was super helpful. Gained a lot of knowledge there. And
thank you. I'm glad you were part of that. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the kind of thing that CBF keeps bringing us. Just because we went through the CBF program, there's other things to learn or go deeper on. And I learned things in there that were not in the, foundational stuff in the beginning. So just huge. So still working on that, still a work in progress, but it's probably my biggest, I wish I could just figure out that magic that Jeannie talks about.
Yeah. Well, and I think that at every level of growing your team, you're going to hit some plateaus and kind of sit at that spot for a while. My team was like that last year. And then we had to step back and say, okay, what is keeping us here and why aren't we moving? But I do have to support you in saying, grow at your own speed, and we all are in different communities, different size communities. All of us have different levels of available time because of, whatever other commitments we have with family or priorities that are in our lives, so sometimes we look at other people and we're like, oh, they're so far ahead of us, or, I wish I was there.
But thankfully, that's not me. Thankfully, that would be a hard place to live. Yeah. I compete with just myself, and I reached goals I never dreamed I'd reach. So thankfully, I don't live in that comparison world. I know many do, and it just breaks my heart.
It's so hard. Yeah. But this morning, I do this morning workout and with a virtual coach, and she said, you are your biggest competitor. And I keep saying that to myself over and over again. And that really is the truth. It's whatever we invest in ourselves, what, like you have, investing in learning, investing in being part of a community, those kinds of things take you where you want to go. But you're not competing against the other people in the community. And that's one of the things that I love about the residential cleaning business community. I find that we're just very open to sharing with each other and learning from each other. Even in our own communities, Amy and I are part of a Michigan group of cleaning business owners. And just before we went on this podcast today, I was texting with one who's right here in my town, who's a friend and in our program. And we support each other. We help each other. We give each other referrals. We get together and learn together. And there's plenty of room for all of us.
All of us. And, I really believe in my whole heart, if we are all striving to be the best, and obviously I think all the CBF systems are the best, I welcome and encourage other people, even in my own area, to get involved, because it will only elevate me and my business. And I know it'll do wonders for them. So it's a win-win. And, I'm constantly referring folks not only to CBF, but for cleaning jobs. Competition is a kind of a swear word, really. Honestly.
It really is. They are our business neighbors. That's what I like to call them. Business neighbors. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Amy, you have set a great example of someone who, you had, how many years were you cleaning on your own?
Technically, it was probably closer to 25, but we didn't start the growing process until around the 30-year mark.
Yeah. So, 25 to 30 years, just as a solo cleaner, it's a great part of our industry. There are thousands and thousands of solo cleaners, but
so many. But boy,
right?
was that breaking laws left and right. Holy cow. But I didn't know that until I learned it. So it's, I'm so grateful for all the things that I've learned. And, could I go back and redo it? Absolutely. Because you know what? That's my message to everybody. If you're a solo cleaner, there's no reason for it. Learn how to build a business. And by the time you're my age, you can be sipping pina coladas on the beach somewhere instead of still trying to grow a business. So yeah, if I could do it all over again, it would be figure it out early.
Oh, I love that piece of advice. That's so good. Well, you mentioned the future. So you mentioned something to me earlier when we were looking at your bio about retirement. What's your vision for the future?
Yeah, it's quite a joke in my family because I love what I do. I literally love it. So I don't know that I'll ever retire. Do I hope to one day not be needed quite so much in the office and doing the daily work of running the business? Yes, of course. There's things that I excel at and there's things that I love to do. But right now that's not in it for me. So do I think I'll ever retire? No, because I love it. But I really, really do hope to one day be able to kind of focus on the things that I'm really good at. And yeah, so probably won't retire. I know my husband would like to hear me say otherwise. He's been retired now for 5 years.
Okay.
But yeah, I love it. So, some people kind of get on me, family, friends, you work too much. But I kind of figure if it's sort of my hobby also, it's not a drudgery. So why is it a problem? I don't have my kids at home anymore.
Yeah, it's not work when you love it.
Yeah. And that's not to say that every day is amazing. Of course not. That'll never happen. But there's more good days, way more good days than bad. And I love being a job creator of jobs that people actually want. So why would I stop that?
That's so good. Yeah. And what a great thing to say. You're a job creator of jobs that people really truly want.
Yeah, I always tease in my presentations that I literally, my goal is to make my employees love Mondays and hate Fridays. And I know that will never happen. I obviously am not naive enough to believe that, but I sure can try.
Right.
And that's what I do.
It's an honorable endeavor for sure to create great jobs for people. And congratulations again. And what an inspiration to those people in this, who are out there solo cleaning, who've wondered, I wonder if I could make this into a business.
You
can. Yeah, you definitely can. And even after many, many years, that you can go on to become a CEO like Amy has and build a great team. So, check out Amy's business, Dazzle Cleaning Service in DeWitt, Michigan. And if you want to learn more, if you're listening to us today and you want to learn more about how to get connected to other cleaning business owners and how to learn how to go from being a solo cleaner to building a business, I would love to talk with you and talk with you about how you can take what you have today and build a team. And we've helped many people do that over the years here in Cleaning Business Fundamentals. So thank you, Amy, for sharing.
Thank you. This was fun chatting. I appreciate it.
Yeah, very fun. And thank you to our audience today for being part of True Grime Stories. And be sure to share this episode, subscribe, and download it, and come back again to meet another great business leader in the residential cleaning industry. Thank you, Amy. We'll see you next time.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
That's a wrap on today's True Grime Stories. Thanks for joining us in uncovering the secrets of cleaning business success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download, and check out our show notes for links and info from today's episode, and to learn more about our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Join us next time as we solve another True Grime story.